Welcome to Simply Robotics, the podcast, a podcast exploring the animation industry one episode at a time. I'm your host, Monique. You can find me on all social media platforms, Simply Robotics, that's spelled SIMPLYROBOTIX. When listening to the show, use the hashtag Simply Robotics Pod to join in on the conversation. So today, I almost didn't do this episode. If you remember from the previous episode, I said I was going to skip November. But then I remembered that November makes 1 year since I started my animation podcast. So like 1 year down, 10 episodes, it's a monthly show. I missed 2 months and it is what it is. So I just wanted to take some time in this episode just to recap the last year. So when I first started the animation, this podcast, I had been doing another completely unrelated podcast with a friend almost 5 years. And I just really, really liked making podcasts and doing podcasts and being a guest and having guests on, that I felt like I wanted to do something different from that show and have one that was like niche and focusing on animation, so I can like have new conversations with people, and some people that I worked with, people that I befriended along the way, classmates, and just like a variety of people, and also still have friends that, enjoy animated content on the show. And I just wanted it to be like, I already have the website. I said in the first episode why I started podcasting, but I have my website, and I just felt like an audio component to it could be really cool. I do like talking about animation. I'm making it work here. And when I started, I was very afraid of being overwhelmed. Like I said, I had another show. That show was bi-weekly. I was doing a lot in running the back end and front end and social media and a whole host of stuff for that show, that I knew that in starting this one, I wanted it to be monthly so that it'd be manageable. Also, at that time last year, I was underemployed, and throughout this whole year, I expressed in a blog post, life update, that was, I think I made that around September, that like over the last year, I've worked probably about 7 jobs. Most of them being this year, actually, now that I think about it. But, so I knew that I didn't really have a consistent like work schedule. I had weeks where like I wasn't working, and then some weeks I was working, or some months I was working like 2 part-time jobs at a time. So I just felt that doing a monthly show would be best for me to be consistent at this time when I first started. Now, I'm very excited, first off, that like I did it for a year. It's completely different going from co-hosting a show and having someone to help split up the workload with, and to bounce ideas off of and what have you, to going to doing a solo show where like it is all dependent on you. And like I bounce ideas off of friends, but there still isn't that like kind of like check, or even by having a co-host, it's like, you guys come together and help make ideas better. And again, you share like workload and things like that. Like it's different now having to do it all by myself. But what's been really good is that I'm doing it. It's getting done, and even with all of the things that was happening in my life outside of the podcast, to still be able to get like 10 out of 12 episodes I was aiming for is really, really, really good. I think so far my favorite episode has been Toy Story one, because that's the kind of conversations I'm really looking forward to having. The interview with Jen was also really, really cool. That's before I actually had structured how I was going to do the show. But I'm really looking forward to having friends in the industry and not in the industry, and people that just have like want to talk about their favorite cartoons or favorite animated movies on this show. The Toy Story one I thought went really, really well. My goals for next year, now that I have a full-time job, which is really great with stability and a schedule, I do also work time at like a movie theater here in the city. But that's like super, super, super part-time. It's not a big commitment at all. I have more like, stability and consistency. So the ideas that I have for next year are just like, I'm so excited about. I've been bouncing them off of friends, and I have basically Jen is going to be like a consultant for like this idea that I have to help me execute it and help me like really, really make it good. I have a lot of episode ideas that I feel like the engagement would be really dope around it. The conversations are really good. I have like a list of people in the industry that I would love to be guests. And now that I have a system in doing, or having remote guests, I'm like, wow, this guy's not even the limit. Like, you know, I can have anyone on here and we can talk about like anything. And I also have a digital recorder. So like if we need to be like somewhere like in a conference room to do this or whatever, God's willing, in the next couple of months I'll get a laptop so I won't solely have to rely on that digital recorder. So for 2020, I'm just looking for a couple, like a bit more guests and more like that whole like Toy Story, the How to Train Your Dragon trilogy conversations. And now Disney Plus is out, so I'm gonna be reaching a whole bunch of stuff I'm looking forward to talking to like on here. Personal goals for 2020, I would have to say is I really want to make a short film. After doing the 100-day challenge to the best of my ability, I just been inspired. I'm like, wow, look what I can do. Look what I'm capable of. Like, if I can just, I'm having such a hard time. I have the visual of how I want to go after this thing. I have the title of the short film, but I'm really struggling still, like the actual substance of the film. Like, what is this really going to be about? And nailing that down. But I'm really excited. I want to make like a super short. And then I have a longer short. I was told that it seems like that will be about like 5 to 8 minutes. After I pitched the idea that I want to start, you know, laying the foundation for and doing pre-production for. So my personal 2020 goals is really to work on these 2 like short films that I have in mind. 2019, like as a whole, has been, it's been a roller coaster like of a year. Like I feel like most of the year has been pretty like low moments, full transparency, but there were peaks of like high moments. And like every time I got a job I applied for, that was definitely a high moment. I met so many people. Like I can't even believe it sometimes thinking about it. I had to do so much networking on behalf of Diverse Tunes and just on behalf of like me being interested in stuff. And I went back and forth to the DMV area so many times this year too. Being under/unemployed really allowed me to pour into a lot of friendships and connections, and it's been really good for that. But I am looking forward to toning down the socializing a little bit, because like I'm an introvert, and it does take a lot to constantly be on in that capacity. And then I just want to focus on these projects. So I've gone to some really dope events. I'm hoping to next year go to some animation film festivals, maybe just like one, preferably out of New York, because I haven't been in so long. Diverse Tunes had a really amazing 2019. We are fortunate to have like 3 interns this year to help us, be it with editing videos and social media, and also just being there for our panels and just helping us monitor the cameras and the recording stuff. It's been really good. And we are, for 2020, going to make a slight pivot. And we will not be doing as many panels because there's some other things we want to focus on. So if you have not or been subscribed to the newsletter after attending one of our events, you should definitely subscribe to just be in the loop, because like I said, it's going to be a little less panels next year so that we're able to focus on some other things and continuing to grow and expand our Diverse Tunes community. So I mentioned briefly the 100-day project that I was doing on Instagram, Twitter. So like, I'm about to be this week. I'm going to make it to day 50 and I'm ending it at that. The stop motion challenge has been really good. I really liked it. And, you know, I knew, doing 100 days, you know, was going to take me more than 100 days consecutively. I was aware of that. But what started happening in the month of October, because I folded it into Inktober, I was starting to like stress about this thing. And that's not what the energy I wanted to attach to doing this challenge at all. It was fun. It was experimental. It was causing me to be super, super creative. And I didn't want to attach stressed out anxiety. Oh my God, I gotta do this. I gotta do that. I missed a day. Like, I didn't want to, do all that stuff. And then having started working full time, it did get in the way of planning that I had done for the challenge. And so what was happening is I'm trying to fit in, doing stuff after work or early in the morning before work. And it was getting in the way for me also taking care of some of the other responsibilities. Like, I'm sure you guys have noticed, I haven't been writing or producing articles for simplybots.com, and I haven't been for Diverse Tunes. We have a lot of footage from panels that are not up on our website, social media yet. So I decided to just cut the challenge in half, like, stop at 50. I can take the next 2 weeks to like edit up videos. There's some posts that I drafted that I want to like go back in and finish and polish so I can share them and all sorts of stuff like that. It was a great challenge. I don't think I'm a loser for not finishing it. I don't feel like I'm a quitter. It's like, you have to know sometimes just to call it. Sometimes it's okay just to stop here. Like, still, I did 50 more videos than I would have ever anticipated for this year. Like, the year started, I didn't say, well, hey, I'm gonna just make stop motion videos. That wasn't even a thing. So like, I'm getting to end the year with like, wow, look at what I can do. Look at what I've done, and look how resourceful, and just imagine what I could do if I had a little bit more planning or, just a variety of things. So that was really dope. I have on here to talk about like success and failures. And like I said a little earlier, I feel like 2019 was a failing year. I feel like it was one of those years that like, I was definitely like internally screaming, how much more character building? Like, my character is built. Isn't it built enough? Aren't we good? Do I still need to build more character? Like, this year was so long. I think about it. In April, I had an interview, and after the interview, I wanted to use the restroom before I got on the railroad back to New York City, and there was a Sears, and I was like, oh, let me go into Sears and use the restroom, and I ended up getting stuck in the elevator for like, 2 to 3 hours, and in my mind, I'm like, wow, that really happened this year, along with X, Y, and Z, and all that sort of things. There was in September, I was just like going through it because I wasn't really sure if I was going to get my current job. And I was just thinking like, I have to work like 2 part-time jobs to really be able to hold it down to, throughout the end of the year. So in this one particular week, I applied to probably like 200 jobs, and it is been 2 months since I did that, and I'm still getting an abundance of rejection emails from them. I feel like this year, it's like, maybe it was one of those years that was like success through failures, not to be too like motivational preachy or something like that. But I almost like can't believe just like how much I like did and was like, and I guess a good way to put it too is like failing forward. I did a lot of that. Like, I taught. I know teaching is not for me. I knew like it was probably never going to be for me. I could probably do workshops in a convention or a festival or some sort like that. But going in every day, and I wasn't even in front of more than like 10 kids at a time. And it was a lot in terms of, again, you have to check whatever baggage you have at the door before you come into the school so you can be your best self for these kids, first off. As someone who didn't go to school for teaching or has never done it before, this whole lesson planning thing, it was like I was in over my head, completely over my head with it. I had one class that was like a project or 2 ahead of the other 2 classes. One class was like slow. They weren't like, all the classes are on different paces. You want to make sure that the projects are challenging enough creatively, yeah, for the students so that like, they're just not breezing through it. They're getting something from it. And I was just like, oh man, like every day I was just tired. And I was like, well, if this is the experience I'm supposed to get, that, it can benefit me going forward, I'm going to show up every day. I'm going to give 110% every day. Like, these kids have nothing to do with how I feel about teaching. My coworkers have nothing to do with how I feel like teaching. And I leave how I feel it about teaching the door. Like, I'm here to do my job and to, keep moving forward. And it was what it was. I did so many various things here. But I guess maybe this year, to close it off, success is that I'm working at my current job. It's on my social media. I'm not going to say it on here. I'm very grateful for the experience so far. I really love the team that I'm working with. It definitely echoes my previous full-time work studio job, and it's in the right direction. I feel like with what I want to do and the community and the space and the work environment that I would like to, grow with professionally and just on various aspects like that. But that's about all the personal stuff. Thank you for listening, and thank you for supporting and sharing and commenting and engaging and rating on iTunes, because I saw that a lot of you use Apple Podcast app to listen to the show. So if you do use that app, it takes a little bit of time. You just go, and there's some grayed out stars. You just press the 5th star. You give me 5 stars because you enjoy the show. And you can leave a review. I would love to start sharing reviews. Shout out to that one person that said this podcast is nerdy as hell. This is true. And I'm glad that you're enjoying it and we're having a good time. Let's move on to some animation news. First up, I have, this was on shadowandact.com. This was Adorned by Chi. I hope it's pronounced Chi and not She. An animated, inspired Nigerian Magical Girl franchise being developed for film and TV, animation, and more. So her name is Jackie Aye, the creator of Adorned by Chi, has signed with MWM and its MWM Universe division as they plan to develop the story for multiple platforms, including animation, comic book, literary, film, television, and merchandise. The news was announced by Morgan Kruger and Diana Williams of MWM. So Adorned by Chi, it's like this, think of junk food t-shirts, if you all can just, right? You know what I'm talking about. So she basically has black, fan apparel, I would say, to a certain extent. She does Sailor Moon and other nerd stuff and geek stuff and what have you. And some of them are Black Girl Magic-esque things. And sometimes it's just phrases and things that we would say. I'm saying we being Black people, Black women, and in our culture would say these sayings and terms and what have you. And she put it on these really, really cute shirts. The apparel's, I can't wait to get some of these shirts and sweaters now and just be full on Black Girl Magic. So she says here, I set out to create Adorned by Chi because I wanted to see myself, a young Nigerian American woman, reflected in the genre I and many others enjoyed so much growing up. It's been a joy crafting this world, and I look forward to expanding my vision with the help of MWM and not only current merchandise, but animation, comics, and more. Next, I have Lupin the Third, a Japanese CG animated film. I've seen this character around, and I would not have been able to recall the name. The trailer wasn't dubbed, so unfortunately for me, it wasn't dubbed and there wasn't any titles, so I don't really know what's going on per se. It has a good balance of the traditional or the what we're accustomed to Japanese anime style, and then the Western CG 3D style. I hope an English dub or subtitled trailer comes out. Maybe I have to look a bit harder because I do want to know what's going on with it. On Friday, November 1st, the Into the Spider-Verse sequel was announced. It will be released April 8th, 2020. Obviously, I'm super excited about this. I'm very grateful that my tribe knows how much I love Spider-Verse, because I was getting text messages and DMs and tweets did you see this? Did you see this? And I'm yeah, I did. Of course, I'm excited. I can't wait. I know I wonder what they're going to do with the story in the sequel, because I remember a lot of people, or enough people, complaining still that Miles had to share his movie with 4 or 5 other spider people. And, gosh, I just hope that it's a little bit more Miles centered. Next, on November 7th, Pixar released a Soul teaser trailer. The music was very good. There is a black male lead character. It looks like a pretty racially diverse film. Like, for me, I feel like this is like old school Harlem. It could be Detroit, you know, it could be like Chicago. Like, I just picked, you know, I'm in New York, so like New York to me. The main character looked a lot like Floyd Norman. I feel like he kind of acknowledged that too a bit. The main character turns into this bit of a spirit blob. Not sure if he actually is dead or he's just like unconscious. And the whole thing around soul is like, what do you want to be remembered for? And I thought that was really interesting. I am very interested to see how Pixar is going to handle this. I know there was like, for like, I don't know, 3 days to a week, Twitter was just going off about how we have another black character that's not black for the whole movie. They brought in Soul, they mentioned Spies in Disguise, and The Princess and the Frog, and I'm like, duh, I knew this was gonna happen. It's a very valid argument. Like, we want our characters to be human the whole time. I think that's fair to ask for and like demand, you know, but I'm still gonna see Soul because it looks enjoyable. But also, this is again why like we, and not only we as black people, but we as people of various racial and ethnic backgrounds do need to make our own content and do need to support those that are, you know, doing good work and creating the stuff that we want to see. You know, we have to support them. On 11/11, Warner Brothers released the SCOOB trailer. First off, it was really good. Really, really good. I'm like, finally, because I did not like those live action CG hybrids of the Scooby-Doo movies. I didn't watch one. Not one. I may never watch one unless I don't have a choice, you know what I'm saying? I personally enjoy Scooby and Shaggy's teenage voices and like the little kitty voices. I thought it was really cute how they posed the question, which came first, Scooby or the Scooby snack? I watched this video of Andre from Black Nerd Comedy on YouTube talk about the possibility of a Hanna-Barbera universe, that the movie could be that could be start with this movie. And then he pointed out these Easter eggs in the trailer of like the pet shop that owned Magilla Gorilla, Dynamite Dog or something like that. And like, you know, some other people from like wacky races. So I thought that was like pretty interesting. And this film is looking like an origin story. So then after that, the next day, on November 12th, the new Sonic trailer was released. So I watched this comparison video. I'm going to put the link in the show notes. And it just showed how bad the first Sonic was. Like, I knew it was bad, but now seeing the redesign side by side, I was like, oh, I can't believe they really got that far. Is Sonic an alien? Because I didn't really catch that, but in the trailer, they're saying that he came to Earth for like whatever. I guess it's also fair to say that cyberbullying did pay off. And we know we shouldn't be making light of cyberbullying, but Sonic looks so much better. For me, the movie in itself still falls kind of flat. And I am not sure if I really want to see it. I do wish that it was all animated and not, again, a CG hybrid film. A trailer that I forgot to mention is Onward by Pixar. The trailer came out like October 10th or so. It doesn't give us the like Pixar look to a certain extent. It looks a bit more like Trolls than like The Incredibles and Toy Story. I'm not really interested in this movie, to be honest with you guys. I'm not. The story, I don't even think the story is like boring. I'm just not interested in this. So long story short, it comes out in the spring. It's like these two monster brothers. It seems like their father has passed away, but he was like a wizard of some sort. And I don't know, maybe their mom kept like this box and there's like, oh, when you reach this age, your father wants you to open this and finally this. And the father was saying, oh, you can bring me back for like a day. All you have to do is like, you know, do this spell or whatever. They don't do the spell correctly and they bring like his lower part of his body back. So then they go on this quest to try and, I guess, figure out how to bring him back by the time, you know, like some sort of Cinderella thing. Like they got only a certain time to do this thing. So it's pretty much like a monster creature buddy film. between two brothers. And yeah, to me, the story doesn't really seem boring at all. I'm just not interested in this, and I don't know why. It was also announced that Netflix and Nickelodeon formed a multi-year deal. This was tweeted on November 13th via See What's Next. That's on their Netflix, Twitter account. So what I would like, is for Nicktoons and nostalgic live action Nickelodeon programming, stuff that used to be on the N and what have you, to be on Netflix. Like, I of course, I would love if Nickelodeon came out with their own streaming, service or whatever, but I want to pay for like another one. So that would be great if like Netflix could just host all of their archive. However, from what this was saying, it's like Netflix and Nickelodeon are pairing together to bring back already established Nickelodeon entities, such as Invader Zim and what they did with Rocco Martin's life. I know that they have a Rugrats stuff in the works, and Nickelodeon is probably never going to let Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles die. So there may be more of that coming, but, maybe they could bring back like a Chalk Zone or like, who knows, Jimmy Neutron, stuff like that. So I know a lot of us were excited about getting to watch stuff, like nostalgic stuff, but the articles that I read, and I'm going to link one, it does seem to say that, like, we're going to get that. We're going to get new stuff with old characters. Anywho, speaking about old characters, Frozen 2, about to come out. I believe it's like this weekend that the episode comes out. So, I saw Frozen all but once. I felt like that was enough. I felt like I didn't really need to see it again ever. So anywho, the environment looks very, very good. You can always count on Pixar or Disney to give you a visually good looking film, with the exception of Onward. I know Onward still looks fine, but the forest, like the forest world that they go through or whatever, that's like a portal. It looks very, very good. I don't know. I'm not going to theaters to see Frozen. I'll see it when it comes on Disney. And maybe I will just watch the first one and then watch the second one and, call it a day. I'm not very interested in Frozen 2, to be honest with you. It looks really good, though. I will tell you that it looks really, really good. So, Trolls 2. DreamWorks released the second trailer on the 14th. Right? Every time I was getting ready to record this podcast last week, another trailer dropped and another trailer dropped and news dropped. It was like, bam, 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 bam. Whoa. Maybe I should just wait till the weekend to record this episode just so things calm down. Also, I didn't know that like the whole week, 2 weeks before Thanksgiving was like a big trailer release week. Like, when did that happen? Maybe I've never really paid attention. But yes, getting back to Trolls 2 trailer. So I saw this is the second trailer for Trolls 2. And I was like, what is going on? So I had to actually go and watch the first trailer. And I really realized the second trailer isn't clarifying like at all. I had no idea what was happening. So thank God for the first trailer. The plot is very simple, predictable. It's like a bad person abusing their power. The good guys have to stop them. Essentially, isn't it the same thing that happened in the first one? Right? The characters look good. And there's music, whatever. Obviously, I'm not really too excited to see it. But that makes me remember that I saw Trolls like basically blind. I didn't see any trailers, any previews for the first Trolls. And I did end up liking the movie much better than I would have expected, I guess, had I seen a trailer. So it's quite possible that I may also enjoy Trolls 2, but just, especially after the second trailer, I was like, I don't think so. So, as I had mentioned just a little while ago, we have a lot of already established characters and worlds and stuff, being, what's the word? I don't know, I can't even say re-imaged to a certain extent. And the last trailer that came out on the 14th was Spongebob. I really, really enjoy the CGI of this. Like, it's very similar to what's going on with SCOOB and the slapstick humor and physical humor. And it has a very good 2D feel to it despite being 3D. I just may see this SpongeBob movie in theaters. And I don't think I've seen any SpongeBob movie in theaters like her. But this just looks fun. It looks so fun. And I saw that in the trailer, they set up for the Camp Coral prequel was announced to be in the works. And then now that Netflix is saying that they're partnering with Nickelodeon, I'm like, Camp Coral is probably going to be on Netflix. Camp Coral is a prequel, right? This is SpongeBob as a child at this camp. And it looks like by the trailer, that's where he met Gary, I guess. In the trailer, Gary is either stolen or goes missing or something. But the movie is about SpongeBob trying to find Gary and get him back. That's all the animation news that I have. That, I know, it was a lot. It was a lot. So, like I said, I want to thank you guys again for listening to the episode, listening to the show as in general, like, thank you. There's no guests on this episode. That's fine. Because, you know, in the future, there's going to be some guests. Not too many, but there's going to be more guests for sure. You can follow me on social media at Simply Robotics. That's on Instagram and Twitter, SIMPLYROBOTIX. Also my website, simplyrobotics.com. Leave reviews. You can also suggest, like, if you think that there's a movie or a show or a series or something that I should check out and maybe review on the show. I'm totally down for that. If there's like YouTubers or, I don't know, Twitters or people or whatever that you think it may be dope for me to connect with and possibly, you know, get them on the show, I'm super open to all of that. Up next, I'm doing 12 days of Christmas, Hanukkah, Wanzika, okay? That means for 12 days, 12 podcasts, all about holiday-related animation, be it films, TV show, or what have you. That's what we're doing. So stay tuned. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. I got to start watching this stuff though. But again, thank you. Thank you so much. 1 year down, many more to go. Bye guys.